Hello, everybody, welcome. Those are psychics has to get a hella, huh? Everybody, welcome. Those are psychics has to get her. So, guys, I'm recording the intro after the fact. I have already recorded the video, but a lot of it is just me reading, showing you an article. So, so, uh, so let's get right to into it. And it's a really wonderful article, by a very credible person that discusses the idea that the military is behind these leaks of both the Signal chat and the Elon Musk China military meeting that was aborted. Okay. All right. So let's get to it, and thanks for watching. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Rosa Sagi Investigator. So I am recording this part first before I do an introduction with my face showing. But yesterday someone sent me this article and I wanted to share it with you because it is very, very interesting, and it suggests that the military is behind the leaks both of the Signal chats and the leak that Elon Musk was coming to um to learn about the plans for a potential war with China. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm basically going to read this article for most of it because it's very detailed and it's very interesting. Okay, and then I'll discuss and look into it. Now, I want to show you also this person. So it's a Substack, the West Point history professor. His name is Terence Goggin, former West Point history professor, Harvard University Kennedy Fellow, California legislator, and attorney. So this is a very credible person. Okay? All right. So let's start. So a powerful cell is operating. The leak to the Atlantic was no accident. Deep Throat 2.0 exists. The befuddled Trump team haven't read All the President's Men. They should do so now. By the way, so the Deep Throat uh, uh, reference is a reference to the Nixon um, situation, right? Where people leaked information about his role wanting to, right? Basically, the situation that I don't want to get into all of the what happened with Nixon, and there were these articles in the Washington Post, and the journalist wrote this book called All the President's Men. So going back here to what he's discussing. So the new president's men have been deeply penetrated. The Trump team has been exposed as profoundly, stupidly arrogant. And that goes for everyone involved on their side of the table. Politics is like showbiz. You can't fake talent or basic competence, and you cannot hide a lack of brains. Summary. The significance of a highly effective cell operating in the Pentagon and National Security Council cannot be overestimated. It's the time-tested clandestine art of a leak to disrupt, humiliate, and expose an opponent's mistakes to reduce or eliminate their power. I've been on both sides of this technique. I know it when I see it. The first leaker alerted the New York Times to the fact that a civilian without security clearances or a need to know was being read in on top secret plans to defend Taiwan. Okay. The second leak was to The Atlantic by someone who added the editor of The Atlantic using his private cell number on Signal to the text thread of a meeting, reportedly at the Palm Steakhouse steps away from the White House. in a private dining room in Washington. No Navy hamburgers and fries in the White House mess near the secure situation room in the basement for these guys. Absolutely not. The signal text thread just happened to be, as luck would have it, of the Vice President, the Secretary of Defense, and other officials discussing and approving exact times and places of missile attacks on the Houthis' leadership in Yemen. Neither could have happened without a clandestine operation informing and manipulating the media. The repercussions are being felt at this very moment in the Oval Office, where it's all being called a witch hunt. Three factors are at play here. First, the exposure of the meetings were not a happy coincidence, the result of a bumbling Secretary of Defense. It was by design. And I'm going to pause here to say that this is what I thought. I did think that he was added by that man. I think it was Waltz, right? But this person here is saying no. They believe um, it was not him. Anyway, the media became aware of sensitive information by execution of a deliberate plan, not by chance. Second, it was extraordinarily effective. It was so well executed that it could only be an insider who meticulously planned the leak for maximum effect. Third, there is silence and mystery around who did it. There is a lack of evidence as to who the specific person is who sourced the information to the press. It could be attributable to a wide group of informed people. 2. The case of Deep Throat Deputy FBI Director Mark Felt in Watergate. If it's clean and everybody is mystified, then there is a motivating force at work. You have a serious opponent on your hands. It's the second coming of Deep Throat. That would be Mark Felt, Nixon's deputy director of the FBI, the Bureau's second highest ranking post. Contrary to accepted wisdom, he was not the instrument of Woodward and Bernstein. They, along with the Washington Post, were his instruments to bring down President Richard Nixon. Okay. I'm going to skip here. Deep Throat knew exactly what was going on because the conspiracy involved the FBI. Woodward, by his own admission, would have been unable to figure it out. The rest is history. Mark Feld was so secret that he was never identified. Only as he lay dying 34 years later did he reveal himself. 3. A powerful force is at work. These leaks are front-page news as I'm writing this, just days after the leak of the Palm Steakhouse war plans meeting, and less than a week after the Musk Pentagon fiasco. It's been front page every day, with a widening story of continuous damaging, unrelenting coverage, with headlines bordering on the absurd. White House uses semantics to downplay gravity of signal leak. This is on par with the Onion headline, Man Bites Dog Story. But it's devilish in its snap and crackle. None of the usual Trump denials seem to be working. His national security team is rapidly unraveling, and it's by devilish design. A powerful force is attacking this administration from the inside, just like Deep Throat. Only it's not one person. It's a cell, a small, well-placed secret team, empowered by unknown actors. We may or we may not ever find out. Musk realizes this, is infuriated, and visited the Pentagon Monday, demanding an immediate investigation of who did this to him. Okay, so also I did do a video about this, I think when I was in the Netherlands, and I remember seeing that it's likely that there was information that was planted and that it was all exposed to humiliate them, right? Okay. Anyway, so here for the leaks were about the meetings taking place. not the operating plans themselves, although the Houthi meeting did discuss the means and method of the attack. What is interesting is that both leaks involved operating plans, the most sensitive and highly prized information that exists. Both leaks involved the disclosure of existence of a meeting to discuss those plans to two different media. The New York Times, owned and controlled by the Oaks-Sulzberger family, notoriously rich and independent, and the Atlantic magazine, owned by Laurene Powell Jobs, a billionaire many times over. Neither can be intimidated by Trump's threats, as could Jeff Bezos, owner of the Washington Post, or the television networks with federal licenses that could be suspended or canceled. The two leaks were thought through at a granular level. Let's look at each affair individually. The Musk Pentagon tank briefing. Okay. This is the clearest example. Someone contacted the New York Times with a copy of a written order to brief Musk on the operation of plan to oppose a massive invasion of Taiwan by the People's Liberation Army Navy. The order was signed by the Secretary of Defense and endorsed by the President. The Joint Chiefs of Staff would have demanded that such a written order before they would agree to brief Musk on their operation and plan to stop a Chinese invasion of Taiwan. The Times would have demanded to see it before publishing this story. How did the Times get such a written order? It's straightforward. Hegseth wanted to impress the richest man in the world with Washington's coin of the realm, a highly classified briefing of the United States plan to target Chinese logistical bases and tactics to defeat the planned attack across the Taiwan Strait. The Joint Chiefs of Staff had refused to brief Musk without a written order. Someone transmitted the written order instructing the Joint Chiefs to brief Musk to the New York Times 12 hours before the briefing was to take place in order for this to reach its 10 million digital subscribers worldwide. It wasn't leaked days before, but mere hours before, giving the administration little or no time to react. Musk was on his way to the Pentagon for the briefing when it hit the internet. Thunk. The knife struck deep, up and into the heart of the administration. Deadly. Okay. So, not much mystery here. The Pentagon cell wanted the meeting canceled. But more happened than meets the eye. When the order was leaked at the very last minute, it was total chaos inside the tank. The super secret briefing room, alight with slides and maps of a quote-unquote invasion in progress, and U.S. Pacific forces counterattacking with stealth bombers, taking out the Chinese long-range radars and satellites. All very exciting and entertaining. The briefing was immediately canceled by the White House, with briefers standing by to begin it. They were in the outside quarters in full view of the press. The embarrassment and immediate outrage by congressional national security leaders was more than sufficient to kill the meeting. Trump denied it even existed, except that his denial rang hollow. The Times had a copy of his order authorizing the disclosure to Musk of the nation's most important secrets. Musk was hustled off to Hegseth's office, while the Pentagon staff remained assembled in the tank, ready to actually brief him. Hegseth had to tell Musk it was canceled after inviting him to it. They met for an hour in embarrassed small talk, and then Musk was escorted out of the building. Note, the cell planned the leak for maximum public and private embarrassment to both Hegseth and Musk, but also to expose the president as a danger to national security. A big danger. Hegseth's power to impress Musk turned out to be ephemeral, non-existent. Hegseth was obviously not in charge. Trump was in charge and he canceled the meeting. Musk was publicly blindsided. A juicy briefing on China would have been useful to impress his friends and business partners in China. Now, why is this incident indicative of a self-organized opposition? It's quite simple. In a normal freshman administration, the Pentagon would assign military aides de camp. The staff officers wearing aiguillettes, the braided gold cord worn off the shoulder of the aide's uniform. They are very experienced and smart colonels and brigadier generals. They can be seen bustling about the White House or on the third floor of the E-Ring, the SEC deck suite 3E880. They are there to quietly and diplomatically advise the Secretary and his political aides regarding the laws, regulations, and norms of behavior pertaining to and expected of the Secretary of Defense, precisely to avoid embarrassing mistakes. So this Musk affair could all have been handled behind closed doors and quietly canceled without embarrassing the Defense Secretary, humiliating Musk, and damaging the president. But no, there was no quiet advice explaining what could happen if word got out a civilian who had no clearances and no need to know was briefed on the nation's top secrets. The leak was timed for a last-minute shock without warning for maximum public damage and embarrassment. This was not an accident, but a deadly strike. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to pause here because there's a lot more to come. Um, there's a second part. The second part is about the signal chat. But I wanted to share this part because, and to read all of it because it is very relevant. He made a lot of really interesting points. The first of which is that there is, according to him, and this is this is like I wanted to share this with you guys because sometimes I get people often they send me random stuff like such and such, random people they say in some YouTube channel said something and they take it as truth. And then they ask me, oh, Rosie, what do you think of this thing that such and such said? And I say, I don't go by what such and such said. If you have an issue with what they said, ask them, not me, right? Because it takes a long time to verify something and to figure out where it comes from. But when you read something like this, you could tell it's legit. And the person, of course, they are public, they have credentials, and the detail, the granular detail and knowledge, obviously is not fake, right? So that's the difference, and that's why I always like to share real things like this because it's so important and interesting and different, right? And it's not just somebody saying something. Okay. All right. So now that we have this information, I can ask questions based on to confirm the things that he suggested. Number one, that he said that there is an active cell, according to him, inside the Pentagon that is working to undermine the Trump administration by exposing their acts. So let me do the protection. I like to ask for protection, a beautiful ray of light coming on top of my head as I breathe in. I feel my lungs as I breathe out. I create a circle. I create a circle. I step into it. I step into it. I feel protected. I feel connected. I'd like to ask that information come only from the highest sources, that it create the good and only the good, and so it is. Okay. So let me ask here. Is he correct? Because this is the reason why this article is so important is because it connects with what we have seen and with also Corinne's vision, right? That the military is going to take action, right? And is going to take down these people. So this is a concrete explanation about this. So is this correct? Yes. And I immediately see John McCain say, "Yes, Rosie, we're not playing. We're not playing. We're not playing." This is why they act in such a desperate manner, because they know they have been caught. And that's right. And they're daring. These actions are daring, and they are telling the traitors that we're not afraid. We're going to expose you little by little to the point where the paranoia is going to explode. So yes, it's correct. So now tell me about what had the issue with the China meeting. That's right. They did not. This is too much. This is egregious. And they did it to show that Trump was okay, had okayed this and was willing to have a non-elected official, somebody who has no job in finding out all these government secrets, somebody who has overt business connections with China, um, that there he is exposing this person, exposing the most secret information to this person. So yes, that was in itself say this is not just these were not just articles. These were snapshots of a crime scene in place. Like what they described in the article were crimes. So this is what happened here. Okay. All right. Now let's go to the next part. The next part is going to talk about what happened with the signal chat. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna hide myself here and just read it to you guys. And again, you feel free to fast forward to the part where I'm just talking, but I feel like this is such a brilliant article that you have to get the nuances of this. Okay. All right. So let me just share again here. 1 second. Okay. All right. The Hexet Waltz text meeting at the Palm Steakhouse. Today, the New York Times reported from Kingston, Jamaica, that Secretary of State Marco Rubio confirmed that somebody had made a big mistake by adding a journalist to a signal group of 13 members of Trump's national security team discussing strikes on Houthi leadership, while Hegseth and Waltz were reportedly dining at the Palm Steakhouse in Washington, blocks away from the White House. This was no mistake. This was a well-planned clandestine operation. How could it be otherwise, really? How is a editor of The Atlantic added to a secret encrypted thread of a secret meeting discussing operational secrets of a secret combat mission that is to take place within hours? Editors of prominent magazines don't just drop out of the internet ether to be added to an encrypted signal communication of a highly classified discussion specifying the time, place, and type of fighter bombers scheduled to implement missile strikes within hours. This meeting was to decide on war. It used civilian encrypted transmission platform with low-grade security. It was a national security group of principals who were gathered to plan and approve the targets to be hit in an air attack on the Houthi capital to kill Houthi leadership. This is a public restaurant, albeit a private room on a non-secure line that included a number of officials not present at the Palm Steakhouse. What do these chaotic incidents mean for Trump? What is the scoop? Clearly rattled, President Trump declared today that the uproar is a witch hunt. Actually, he may be right, but the witches are his own men. It is a planned and organized operation to destroy his ability to govern with unqualified and deficient officials, using and exposing his administration's own national security mistakes to do so. Soon it will add up to a loss of legitimacy and respect, limiting his ability to make decisions and to make them stick. The Pentagon is not doing what he would normally do: advise the Secretary of Defense of the danger of his actions and possibilities of leaks that could be very damaging. That his cavalier actions regarding secret war plans puts him in grave danger. Instead, they have put him on his own in a jungle with predators he doesn't know. It's not pretty. He's obviously hated, not disliked, but hated for the disrespect in the firings without cause of the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, a command pilot, war hero, and aeronautical engineer, General C.J. Brown, and Admiral Lisa Franchetti, the first female chief of naval operations. So they let Hegseth make obvious but critical mistakes, then allow them to be leaked or clandestinely disclosed. It's like the proverbial ducks in a barrel, and President Trump is having a meltdown in the Oval Office. What a surprise. Okay. So anyway, so this is essentially the end here of the article. Now, let's go back here to video. So now about the Signal chat. So let's ask here, because I had thought that he had been in fact added by that guy. I hadn't thought of another possibility. But let's see here. Is it possible? Is he right? What was this as a clandestine operation to add this man to the Signal chat? Okay. Okay, so I have a question also. Is it because there's another possibility that one of these people on that chat was complicit with this and added the person? How does this? No, it's saying that that's right. No, they use the account of Waltz because it says such and such added. It usually on those when you're added to a chat, I know from WhatsApp, it tells you who added you to the chat. I think that's what I'm getting. So, okay, now is it? Do they have? That's right. It's saying Rosie. They have information. They're being monitored already. Yes, and they're leaking everything very selectively. Okay. Now the next question is is this okay? Are these chain of events indicative that the military is indeed intent on taking them down and are the ones that are going to take them down? Yes. Yes, it's absolutely. Except for the loyal Trump loyalists who are inept and far lower in rank, the military is almost uniformly against him. And it's saying that, think about it, in the military itself, you cannot, the whole purpose of the whole point of the military is that there is rank and that people got to their positions because they earned it. So when you put somebody of lower rank in a higher position, you are by definition, um, that's right, you are by definition giving a middle finger to the military itself. So does it make sense? So that actually makes a lot of sense from this perspective here. I haven't thought about it this way, but right? That's interesting. So yes, and that's right. So they have all the information it's saying already. They are being monitored. They know that they are working with a foreign power. And so yes, things are set. And it shows me the image again that I had, I think it was in the last video where I saw these dark figures around all of these people in the chat. And these dark figures were the eyes on them, were all the people that were working to take them down, essentially. And it showed me that they're all being observed and they're not alone and that they're freaking out because they're surrounded. And it's one of the part at some point in this article, he explained it was something like they're surrounded by unknown predators. And that's exactly what it feels like, that they are not safe, quote unquote, to commit these crimes, right? That they're not getting away with it. And that in fact it's going to create a situation that is so embarrassing. But I don't think okay, those people are shameless, right? I don't think that anybody's gonna be like, oh, they're suddenly gonna wake up one day, realize they made a mistake, and they're gonna know. I don't think it's gonna go this is not how the way it's gonna go. What is going to happen? Yes, they will be arrested, they will be stopped. But it's saying they are already surrounded. Okay. So, yes. So in other, so when I, so the other point that this person made here in this article is that this is Deep Throat 2.0. Is this correct? It's saying yes and no. Yes, that it's somebody from the inside. Somebody, but the difference is that it's many people and it's much broader. So so it's not, before it was just one person. This time it's not just one person. It's hundreds of people actually. So, and it's saying these are part of plans. And it's almost, it's like these, and I see Biden actually behind the scenes. These are plans that they had discussed somehow. And they had thought, again, thought through these things. And they're not going away. These people are not going away. Okay, another thing that this article discussed was Elon Musk and how Elon Musk demanded. I remember I read this several times, like, right? So he said at some point that Elon Musk was so furious, he realized what was happening, right? That he was being exposed, and he got really mad, and he went to the Pentagon demanding answers. Who did it to me, right? So that's right. And I see that people were sitting across from him, it's like kind of watching him, just like detectives watch criminals when they're like, okay, so listen, we have here the receipts. This is your phone saying that you were in fact in that area on that day. And this is a body. This is your fingerprint. So this is exactly the same. They're observing him as a criminal. They consider him to be a criminal, yes. So is Elon Musk going to be able? No, he's not going to be able to find out who it was. And I see that I mean, even like a normal person, right, would be like, no, actually, someone offers you, oh, hey, do you want to find out the war plans? I will, no, 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 I don't. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. It's not none of my business, right? And it's dangerous. Like, don't share this sort of thing. Why was somebody who has business interests in China finding out all this information, was so interested in all this, right? So that is very shady. It's not, he has no business in that. And he knows he's committing crimes, but his ego when the drugs is taking are just kind of like a, I feel like he gets both. It's like his brain is fried, and I feel like there's days when he is like, I'm the king of the world. I'm ruling this country. I need all the information. And the other times he knows is making a big mistake and that justice is coming just around the corner. So it's a time of great desperation and paranoia. So, and it's saying, and I even see that there's psychological profilers that have been worked on this too, because they know what will trigger them. So that's right. They're ready. They're saying, we're going to pounce, Rosie. Don't worry. That's what I'm getting. So, okay. So this is it for now. Okay. So, all right. All right. So thanks for watching, guys. Let's see. There may be something else I want to add, but if not, this is all for today. All right. Okay, so I'm back. I didn't go away. Huh? She didn't go away. There she is. Huh. I know that girl. Girl, you know it's true. Mm-hmm. So, all right. So now this is because I want to show you I want to show you something. No, I talked about this in the last video. I don't know if it's exactly the last one or the one before, but I wanted to show you this passage that has stayed with me for a long time. And this is, I'm going to show you here. So this is an interview with Jeffrey Goldberg and Ann Applebaum. Now, Ann was interviewing him, and so what was so this is the part where they discuss how um the authoritarian governments want you to think. Okay, so I'm just going to play this part here. Um, do you think that by publishing the texts, you injected that little dose of reality into the conversation? I hope so. I mean, it's look, and Anne, as you all know, is one of the great experts in the world on authoritarian behavior. I mean, wrote the book on the Gulag.
the history of the Gulag, and has been writing about totalitarianism and authoritarianism ever since. So I'm not not telling you certainly anything you don't know. Um, the the goal of people who are authoritarian minded is to force compliance, right? They can only do what they want to do if no one fights them, if no one argues with them, if no one counters it. And so if you have a dose of reality that you can inject into the system, into the cognitive system of the United States, well, then you should do it because they're counting on people not doing it. I mean, I've been saying this for a long time. I mean, saying this before Donald Trump was reelected. If there are 8 or 9, I think 9 or 10 additional Republican senators who would have voted for impeachment after the January 6th rebellion, or whatever you want to call it, uprising, Donald Trump would not have been allowed to run for president. But they enforced compliance, and they do that in the Republican Senate caucus, and they enforce compliance through intimidation, through threat, through fear.
So how does it, so Mike Waltz calls you a loser on TV, implies that that you've somehow mysteriously made your phone number appear on his telephone. No, it was
Using my brain waves.
That's right.
Yeah.
So how does that work in your brain? So you're accused of these very bad things.
Yeah.
And you're meant to be intimidated, and you're meant to say, "You're right, Your Honor, we won't publish anything."
Yeah. Well, I mean, Mike Waltz can call me a loser if he wants, but at least I know how to text.
And and did you break into his phone?
Can I just tell you something?
Yeah.
Did I break into his phone? So one of my kids in our family chat,
Where you only use initials, right?
yeah, our family chat, which is now entirely encrypted. I mean, most of our family chat consists of, does anyone have the Hulu password? I mean, that's basically the family chat, right?
Okay, so I'm back here just to share. That was the part that I want you guys to understand and to read, to not to read, to listen, because this is a very positive sign, right? That they're being challenged, and that the game is not working for them because people are not complying. Their authoritarianism depends on compliance and fear. So that is a theme for today. That was what I wanted to share with you guys, so that you don't get, it just is a hopeful, right? It's very interesting. So, something else, because I realized when I talked about him, Jeffrey Goldberg, I never asked. So I just want to make sure he's going to be okay, right? So let's see what's going on. Wow, no, I see that he's actually very protected. That's why he was picked. Do not mess with him. No. Trash? No. Stay away. Stay away. Stay away. Stay away. Stay away. So, problems for you if you mess with him. Do not messing with him. No. So, interesting. Interesting informations. Interesting informations. Okay. So that's it. So interesting topics today. All right. So have a good night, and I'll be back tomorrow. Bye. Bye.